Good evening, and Alafia greetings to all of you. I am Omiinka 7, bringing you a topic of does each and every one of us have the right to spirit, and should we be practitioners of spiritual things? I came to talk to you a little bit about the fact that we are getting this thing a little confused. Spirituality is not a religion, it's a way of life. And I see some people becoming more conscious about that definition, understanding that you have to definitely be a devotee. And there's a process to this thing. And what is a devotee? A devotee is one who dedicates their life or his life towards prayer and adoration and lifting up the Most High. And that's Olodumare for the Africans. And let's not get it twisted. All of our ancestors are not everyone's ancestors. Even though we might have come down through the birth line together, we're talking about African traditional religion. We know for a fact that Caucasians did not practice African spirituality back in slavery. They had Christianity, and they used Christianity to colonize us. We have to get it very clear. There is no way under the sun that Africans can step into this religion and say, now I want to honor your Orishas, I want to honor your ancestors. It's not possible. Our ancestors wouldn't even acknowledge them or wouldn't even know them. So how are they going to get a prayer through to our ancestors when it was our ancestors they colonized? And most of the Christians, over 40% of the Christians were beaten into submission to even practice Christianity. So a lot of our ancestors were beaten into submission to practice Christianity. They didn't just go willingly. So I want you to know that Christianity was a religion that was colonizing us and putting us farther into captivity. So we were fighting to get out of Christianity. So we must understand that these people that are coming to you now that are non-Melanite people, that are Caucasian, they're coming to you because they want to get your gifts and perfect your gifts. And usually with their nature, they want to take over and control the gifts. You have to be very, very careful in giving something to a controlling nature like that, who would actually swindle it away from you and render you helpless and say it was theirs from the start. We know the nature. We know the nature of the Caucasian and what they've been capable of doing in the area of the arena of religion. So we have to be very careful for those newcomers out here that don't know their history and don't know the nature of a man or woman that's Caucasian coming to you, asking you to read them or do oracle reading and go to your ancestors for them. You should be very, very curious to know if they're going to your ancestors so that they can take the whole gift from you. So we have to be very careful in telling them yes, that we could do readings for them, because we don't know if our ancestors are going to answer us and bid them their wishes. Now, let me also say that what is a devotee? A devotee is one who's praying day and night for the situation of the world and of the people in general. A devotee never stops devoting his life to God. A devotee is praying without ceasing. And I don't see a very many of you young people who profess to be conjurers, who profess to be spiritualists or practitioners or priests. I don't see you falling and breaking to your knee and praying. I don't see you showing adoration for the Most High. I don't see you going to the limit to express your love for God. I don't see any of that. And that comes with the ability to manipulate the spirit and have the spirit speak on your behalf. Without the prayer, there has to be the prayer for the sacrifice. This is a sort of sacrificial thing. If you're not sacrificing for God, don't expect God to sacrifice for you. And a lot of us African American are prideful. We're not humble enough that we'll break to our knee, that we will exonerate the Most High, that we will bow before Him in adoration. But that is a part of the spiritual teaching, that you must bow in Dobale, the Most High, break to your knees, not showing your eyes, showing respect and adoration. I don't see it. So how can you very well hear from the Most High? You cannot unless you are humbling yourself to the point of acknowledging His greatness over you or her greatness over you. So I want to say that I want to see much more praying on this airways and much more breaking to the knee and praising God with song and with dance. That's where the bembes come in at. Now we just can't take any old tradition and say all of it's the same. No, it's not. In the African faith, we have the bembes. We dance the spirit down till the spirit comes down on us and takes possession. We want our bodies to be possessed by God, to speak through us and to us, and give a word of advice for the nation's people. Now, that is not happening in all of the circles. This is a part of Ifa's belief. This is a part of Voodoo's belief that we get together and we dance the songs of the Orishas. And one of the Orishas is 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 being shown up in us as we are possessed by God. Possession is inhabited and our sacrifices are inhabited. That's why you see the sacrifices that are done by the African traditional faith. That sacrifice is honored by God, that you've gone out of your way to set up a plate of food. You've gone out of your way to leave an offering for these deities. They are expression of God. We believe in but only one God. And the one God allowed us to have a God that resides within us called Ori. And we make sacrifice by leaving offerings, food, or giving offerings to our deity so that they will make a sacrifice for us. We got to get this thing right. Now, we're not out here just worshiping any other thing just to get a spell through. You've got to have tradition laid down and you've got to teach tradition. And you just can't have everybody living any old runchy life thinking that these spirits are going to reside over them and answer them. So we got a lot going on. We've got a lot of people who are calling themselves conjure spirits and how they conjure up this and conjure up that, but they have no root. You must have some root that comes from something, and you must have your foundation there. You just can't say, I picked it up on the way, someone taught it to me. You must have a teacher. Who was your teacher? Who mentored you? Chief Metahochi Zanu Wali was my teacher. And I didn't just go on my own. I was called, I was summoned, and he imparted the knowledge to me. So I can say I was initiated by Chief Metahochi. Who can you say that you were initiated by? Don't just go out here saying you learned it on your own, because your mind may fail you. You must have a teacher, someone that has the sources that they draw from their longevity. Yes, it's good to acknowledge your seniors and don't frown upon your seniors because they're gray haired old people like I am, but look at that as an attribute. But it's very important that you should understand we got to stop this nonsense the way we're teaching our people about the spirit that anyone can come in and get a reading. No, anybody can't. The Babalaw has the authority to turn you away, okay? And anybody just can't walk in and get a reading. And we're having too much on these airways where people are coming up with their deck of cards who are not even seasoned, and they start reading the cards without prayer. Those cards have not been sanctified, set aside, holy, so that the Spirit can speak through them. Your life has got to be consecrated. If your life isn't consecrated, you have no business giving anybody a reading. As a matter of fact, you need to go to the Baba Laws to finalize your reading, because sometimes you may miss the mark. But it's very vital that you should understand that we are getting more and more into our spirituality, and we're turning away from carnal minded thoughts. And that's what you should be doing, leaving the carnal minded mind, going more towards spiritual and leaning not on your own understanding, but leaning on spirit, so he or she can direct your path. But there's one thing you should know: there's a price to pay for giving false readings or for misleading people. That is doing damaging to individuals, and there's a price to pay. So don't fool around with these things that you don't have spiritual backing of. Go and get a teacher and allow that teacher to mentor you. And make sure you learn from that teacher, because we cannot make this stuff up as we go. Because if we do, we'll find ourselves into a heap of trouble. And I want to say to those out there who are making candles and using the candles to put spells in, and it's a form of money for you, you've got to be very careful that whatever portal you open up, you've got to close that portal. You cannot leave it open, or else it will come and cave in on you. And that's just a little topic I wanted to brief you over to get you more conscious of understanding your spiritual self. So I want to say Odavo and Baba Booey to you all. Have a great evening. And this is part 2.